Good day, this is Sean, Sales and Marketing Manager at OQLIS. Today we're going to unpack the value of data in IoT initiatives. Andrew, our Head of Production or Product Development at OQLIS, is going to be chatting around the pitfalls, some of the good points, the bad points around these IoT initiatives. He has got a wealth of information around it and can really give insights into any IoT projects.
The biggest benefit is giving them visibility into something they've never seen before. You can't manage what you don't measure. Once they see what they can see, like all the ideas flow from that point. So always what we see is like the first stab, there's always excitement. And then it's like, well, how do you build off that excitement in a way that doesn't get far ahead of the expectation, but some people just get so excited because it's the first time they've seen, how does their temperature of their building correlate to their power usage, or how does occupancy tie into, how much they run their air cons. It's the first time they've seen these metrics plotted on the same axis. You want to get your hypothesis right. You want to come to the party and say, well, my objective is to reduce energy. What are the factors that contribute to energy usage, and how can I realistically affect it? You might say, well, I need to spend less on air conditioning, but there's a trade-off between people's comfort and the amount of energy you can save by turning the aircon off. So the problem becomes, how do you balance the constraints of what you want to optimize versus how low can you squeeze it? So for me, it's about starting with a hypothesis, but sometimes the precursor to that is even just seeing. See what that graph looks like over time, see what occupancy looks like over time, and then take a step back and say, well, what are my objectives? Do I want to reduce energy? And what is a feasible way to do that? And how does that tie into the ecosystem of constraints that I'm dealing with? I think never before have people been able to do a feedback loop. But the feedback loop of, if you've determined some correlation in your data, can you in fact turn your air conditioner on and off? Can you send the signal to shut it down? I think that's sort of what IoT offers, is the loop back into the real world. The data comes from the real world, gets processed by software and platforms, but ultimately the value back into human life is the signal back into reality. If you've stopped at smarts and it doesn't feed back into the real world, I would say you're missing half the value proposition, or half of what the promise is. OQLIS gives a platform to give the business user the visuals that they want to see in a format that they understand it, that they feel comfortable in interacting with. The fact that you can design sort of an interface to the information as complex or as simple as you like, and the fact that the user can click through that experience and come to their own conclusions, or sort of diagnose problems without the need of a data scientist or a SQL guru. OQLIS is the information translator that ultimately takes what the sensor is saying and driving that into business value to ultimately go back in the real world.